Yeah, welcome everyone. So this talk is called Pry Irresponsibly. For those of you that know, Pry is a gem that's a common Ruby gem that would be like an alternative to the IRB. So when you just do IRB and get an interactive console in plain Ruby, Pry is an alternative to that. But we're going to talk about some of the things you can do in Ruby using Pry. To introduce myself, my name is Riaz. Virani. I'm a freelance web developer. When I lived in Atlanta, I was, weirdly enough, I'm wearing this company, different company. I was CTO of a company locally called Load Up Technologies. Until I moved to Toronto. And yeah, and also if you want to read any more of the stuff that I do or make / watch talks, whatever, I posted it all on my little website called riazv.me. So I do want to say that before we kind of do the rest of this talk, stuff I'm going to show you is not actually stuff you're supposed to do. So it's kind of like an anti-talk. It's really stuff that is helpful to know. But there's only a very small number of use cases where I'd ever recommend you actually use any of this in a real program or while you're actually coding. So I'm going to go into my little quick spiel of how we do the rest of the talk. So having trouble finishing all of your work, the problem is you're doing too many steps. You're wasting too much time writing your code, then running it. Think about all of the time that you waste on these two steps as distinct actions. So I have a really amazing solution for you. The answer is, what if you could write your code while it was running using Pry? That is your solution. You could take all of your steps and go from 2 to 1. Turns out you could write code a lot faster. So now we're actually going to take a look at how we would do that. So I've got a terminal here. You can kind of see, is that big enough for you guys, I assume? All right. Make it easy. All right. So the directory we're in doesn't have much in it. It's just got a gem file that has the gem Pry, because that's the gem that we're going to be using to kind of do our little exercise. So we're going to start up Pry. We've got no program, nothing. So we start Pry up, and I'm going to move this up from the bottom a little bit. Okay, let's do that. All right. So we run Pry. You know what? I am kind of lonely. I need a friend. So we are going to make a friend class because, you know, then I can instantiate friends whenever I'd like. So we do that. Now what I just did right there is I did .vim friend.rb. So whenever you use a dot in front of any command in Pry, it means you can actually run commands on the terminal that is the parent for where you actually ran Pry. So you can really run arbitrary bash commands. And so inside of here, we are going to define friend, click initialize, and turns out, you know, friends, I don't have very good friends. They all take my dignity whenever they, you know, want to exist around me. They kind of use that as part of the cost I have to pay in order to hang out with them. But, you know, I'm desperate. I'll do that. I'm a programmer, you know, I mean, that's kind of how we live life. So we save this, and again, we can now run this command .ls. Shows us we've got that file. Great, we just didn't really do anything different except running this in this terminal instead of a separate terminal. And we'll go ahead and require it. Great, so now I've got my friend class loaded, right? I can do friend.new, give it my dignity. Oh no, but I forgot to save it. It's already lost. So another command you can also do is you can take whatever was the output of the last execution and use the underscore to reference it. So now I actually have a local variable referring to friend. Great. So I have friend. But you know, I don't quite trust my friend. I'm going to look behind the scenes to see what's actually going on. So this is going to a special Pry command. I can cd into my friend. And now the context I'm in executing commands in is actually the friend. So if I look at self, I am the friend. I can now, even without doing any of that fancy send stuff, I can actually look at the instance variable, my dignity, being like, all right, they've got my dignity, they're keeping it safe, and I can cd back out. So now my friend is there, I'm on the outside. So I'm kind of doing this, and at this point I'm realizing I have a shitty friend, they took my dignity. I actually don't know if this is a great relationship. I kind of want it back. So I'm like, hey friend, please give me my dignity back. So now I'm going to run this other magic command where I'm going to edit friends. Edit, again, is another magic pry command where you can edit classes inline. So I hit edit friend, and now it's opened Vim back up, and this is actually editing the instance on disk and in memory simultaneously. So I've asked my friend to give my dignity back, and I'm like, you know, I'll have say, can you please define, just, you know, give me some of my dignity back. It would be nice. So, you know, it's like you don't really need it. But my friend's kind of a dick and is like, no. And so I'm going along, and I'm like, hey, friend, please give it back to me. And so I just want to verify, like, I have a friend method a give back method. So I can look at friend. So ls, again, will inspect that instance, tell me all the methods that occur, exist on it, tell me the instance variables. This is actually a really useful thing that you should actually use all the time. And it's like, hey, now I have this give back method that, you know, didn't exist until we just did this. So I'm like, friend.give back. Oh no, it ran a runtime error, and I got the result no because it was raising an error. And I am really distraught. I mean, how could my friend of 5 minutes do this to me? In fact, I have to look at it again. I just keep staring at it because I'm so upset at how rude my friend has been. And now I'm just outraged, right? So I do WTF. So again, underscore exception, it allows you to look at the last exception that was raised by using that sort of special reference. WTF is a real thing. It shows you the last exception and the stack trace of the last exception. In fact, they've programmed in that the more exclamation points you add, the more of the stack trace it will show you. They are that clever. So you can do that if you're really like me and like to stare at your own disappointments. So I'm like, this is pretty bad. How did I get here, right? In fact, I wonder what happened. What's the history of my friends? I can run the hist command, and it will show me all of the previous commands that I've run to kind of get to this point. I can stare at all of my mistakes. But then, you know, I kind of start getting my mojo back. I mean, come on, like I'm the programmer. That's the program. It may be my only friend, but at the same time, I control the source code, right? So I'm going to now not use the edit command. I'm just going to monkey patch in line. Now, this is a thing you can actually do even in IRB. So I'm going to essentially open the class back up, and I'm going to define a steal back method. And you can see the apostrophes there are telling me that essentially I haven't executed anything. I'm just now defining lines to execute as sort of a multi-line execution. Oh, whoops, that was really a mistake. But now I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually going to just have my dignity destroyed. I don't want to just end this, right? I want to actually edit the line I just did, even though I'm editing in line. So I'll be like, make sure, where are we right now? So show input will show me the current lines that I'm typing in progress that haven't executed. And I'm like, okay, line 3, I want to edit that. So I can do amend line 3 exclamation mark. And now it's letting me re-edit line number 3, where I will do just at dignity because it's just going to return as the last line. And I can do end. So now I get the symbol because I've defined the method. So again, if I look at my friend, and again, I have not reinstantiated friend. I'm just exploring, I'm editing the sort of definition of that friend as we go. I'm not like, oh, I need to reload and add a new friend. And there's no hot reloading. There's no fancy Rails stuff. This is purely just plain Ruby. So that friend has this stealback method. Not only that, like everything we are doing is not even in memory. If I do .less, well, you don't have to even use .less. Let's use .less. And RB. If you look at the source code, all the things we are doing are actually in the source code, except for the very last one, because the sort of monkey patching is in the line. So if you run the edit command, it's actually going to edit the source. Again, if we just do the sort of class friend stealback, that's a plain Ruby thing. But what I wanted to show you is how to essentially do multi-line sort of inserts and manipulations with pry. Some of this stuff, by the way, for those of you that are like really good at IRB, actually have been backported to IRB. Like you have like binding to IRB now and stuff, which so binding that pry is like a debugger statement. But pry is still pretty full featured. So anyways, let's do friend.stealback. Great, I get my dignity back. Hooray. Yes, thank you. I'm now half my dignity back. The other half is with all the other friends, and I was kind of writing this talk. And I'm like, I feel good now, so I'll do dot get init dot git add dot git commit and take that. That's like the best commit message. You ever go back in history and it's like, take that. It's like, whoa, what did they do? We'll exit. So now I look at my source. Oh, there's a friend file. And yeah, if we look back at the source of that file, it has the give back method that we added with the edit command. We created the file from the terminal. And if I do, git status, we have a git repo. And if I do git ls, if I do git log maybe, you can see that we do have the take that command that we just entered. Sorry, this thing I don't have the git ls. I think I have it on a different thing I added. And so we'll jump back to here. We use one of my favorite ending GIFs. All right, and that's the end of the talk. Quick lightning talk. So I will end there and take any questions.